Welcome, 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 everyone, to Know Before You Go, a broadcast briefing powered by JSA and TeleGeography. I'm your host, Jaymie Scotto Cutaia, CEO and founder of JSA. What is Know Before You Go? It's your show that covers everything attendees should have on their radar, insider talking points all the way to conference logistics before you attend that next big industry event. And today we are talking about one of our biggest industry events. We're talking global event. Yes, none other than International Telecoms Week 2024, ITW. And we should also mention that you can go ahead and register with that QR code right over my shoulder. We should also talk about our book launch cocktail event, Greener Data Exchange, also being the home of ITW on Thursday, May 16th. So you can RSVP for that right below. All right, here to talk us through the conversations that attendees can expect in and around ITW conference attendees and sessions. We are so honored to be joined by TeleGeography Principal Analyst Erik Kreifeldt and my friend Flexential CEO Chris Downie. Welcome, Erik and Chris.
Hi there.
Great to be here.
Hey, guys.
Thanks.
So excited to have you.
Looking forward to it.
All right, can you set the stage here for our discussion? What is ITW all about? Who is going and why? Erik?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Sure. I love ITW. I mean, it's literally International Telecoms Week. It's not Illinois Tool Works. All due respect to the fine tool folks. And yeah, that is still what it is. I mean, it used to be what telecoms was. I mean, you'll notice when you go, there's a whole bunch of bilateral tables there, and what it used to be, and it still goes on there, is you would sit at those bilateral tables and hash out, how many voice minutes are going between you, and then you would do the next one. It would be the speed dating kind of thing, and it's certainly expanded since then, and the ecosystem has blossomed into a whole bunch of things, and I think with the international bit being kind of the enduring theme, I mean, it is. I think you really get the whole ecosystem of networking there, kind of vertically and horizontally. I know it's starting to get maybe kind of high concept, but I mean, that's what I love about it. I mean, you have the vertical part. You have it is still primary. I guess you could think of it still as a wholesale event. That it's network operators, buying and selling to each other, but it's different types of network operators, and it gets a bit vertical in that. So you have the big service providers, the big global service providers, much more regional ones, their vendors, the technology vendors, and also down into the supply chain. So you'll have enterprise service providers that are there procuring what they need to go off and serve their customers, and just lots of those things going on. And then more horizontally, you still have, voice, SMS. I mean, there's still a lot going on there to get your message out, like literally, on an international scale, and hit all the places you want to hit, and going all the way up to the other end, to the core of the network, and some of the things that Chris is involved in, and everybody else, that you have these hyperscalers that have to have all their storage and compute everywhere they need it, and all interconnected, and all the things that needs, all the transactions and connectivity that needs to happen to make their systems work. So it's really a fascinating event.
Yeah, it's definitely the right audience. I loved when you said wholesale. I loved when you said ecosystem. Great segue to my next and pretty big question. Sorry, Erik, I'm going to start with you first, but here's my big question. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our digital infrastructure industry today? I know, big.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with the high concept here. I mean, I think predicting demand and meeting it profitably. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, and it covers the different segments that I just went through. I mean, I know Chris will speak to this, and he's at the core of it. But it's you want to have basically capacity when and where you need it, and you'd like to just be able to spin it up as necessary, and that is indeed kind of the goal. But to have the infrastructure foundation to make that happen is a lot of work, and a lot needs to happen in order to provide that. And that's kind of what you're seeing going on at this event. And just, kind of the biggest challenge facing the industry. I mean, it's you can kind of have, predicting the demand, meeting it, and profitably. You can have two, the third one is the tricky one, depending on which two you pick. So and there's a lot that goes into that. So, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about that, and a lot of that will be going on at the show as well.
Yeah, so well said, Erik. Predicting demand and meeting it profitably. That is a mouthful and very difficult. Chris, same big question for you, my friend. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our digital infrastructure industry, of course, particularly data centers today?
Yeah, thanks, Jaymie, and thanks, Erik, for teeing up the whole idea of the ecosystem. It's a pretty powerful event, and a powerful group of constituents trying to solve what are challenging problems but tremendous opportunities. My favorite word, or the word that I use the most in 2023, which is carrying over into 2024, is unprecedented. I've been in the industry for 18 years, and what I've seen over the course of the last year is in many ways unprecedented on many fronts. But the biggest challenge facing the data center industry is meeting the exponential growth processing needs while maintaining sustainability. That's a challenge that we're trying to turn into an opportunity at Flexential, deploying energy efficient technologies, designs, and next generation data centers that also address environmental impact. So there's obviously a growing emphasis on green technology and data center operations, which is a critical topic for the industry, but also for the globe. So, really looking forward to hearing perspectives at ITW.
And that's actually a great segue here. So I'd like to stay with you here, Chris. You are a featured speaker, first day of the conference, the panel entitled "Are Connectivity Requirements for New Scale Compute Campuses Being Met?" What are some of the key points we should walk away from with that?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question. When we discuss connectivity requirements, we really are thinking about a scale, and the scale that's being, a challenge but opportunity for the industry. There are a couple key points on this front. First, scalability and flexibility. First and foremost, the scalability of infrastructure to meet the dynamic needs of modern compute demands is really crucial. At Flexential, we're continuously enhancing capabilities to ensure that our data centers scale efficiently and flexibly. This means not just expanding physical infrastructure, but also integrating advanced network architectures that support rapid scaling. Also, sustainability and efficiency. I touched on that before. We're committed to not only meeting, but exceeding our energy efficiency goals. And we're deploying solutions that minimize environmental impact while maximizing operational efficiencies. This includes innovations in cooling technologies and the use of renewable sources, which significantly reduce PUE at our facilities. And lastly, advanced connectivity. Interconnectivity cannot be, overstated. Ensuring that there's high-speed connections between data centers is essential to support really the scale of data volumes that our companies and customers are requiring. So really deploying and innovating on advanced network technologies that enable a whole host of solutions. So we're investing in data centers. We've got big projects in Atlanta and in Oregon, and also we introduced this year our Flexential Fabric, which is really about bringing the ability to seamlessly access a whole host of resources that are enabled within our platform that allows for digital transformation as every customer is going through, their own unique journey.
I love that. So scalability, flexibility, what you're known for, really. Sustainability, efficiency, what you're delivering. And then all this leads into advanced interconnectivity and like you said, the fabric to empower us into digital transformation. Love that. Erik, as a leading industry analyst of our TeleGeography and of our digital infrastructure space, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that realm, that Chris is talking about, that you're both talking about, that I think that's where the challenge I kind of posed is being felt most acutely, is in that part of the ecosystem. It's an issue elsewhere as well, but I think where you're really seeing it now, just trying to meet the burgeoning demand, I guess it's particularly for compute initially, and you can keep me honest here. I think, some of the power demands of these NVIDIA chips is on the order of 75 kilowatts per rack by the time you do all the math on that. But the vast majority of existing racks can only handle about 20 kilowatts. So there's a long way to go. And again, you can't just spin this up easily. So there's a lot of work to do there, and a lot of opportunity there as well. But yeah, it's kind of where you're seeing it pretty acutely, and you'll see it elsewhere as well. I guess the connectivity part, outward from that, is maybe a little harder to predict, because we still don't really know yet, what that demand is going to be. So you've got all that compute, and of course there's going to be a lot of storage that goes with that. But how much of that needs to be sort of a real-time bit stream to some other place where the user is? We're not really sure about that. So, there's still some things to kind of figure out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. And we're seeing a lot of strategic investment in our space, in digital infrastructure, data center expansions. Again, as a top leading industry expert of our space, what are your observations there? And where is this going, Erik?
Yeah. I mean, the first observation is that you'll see several investors attending ITW. And, maybe that's, I want to say it's not sinusoidal, but it comes in waves. Maybe 5 years ago, you didn't see as many, but then 5 years before that, there was a ton of investors there, so, and I think, and we're seeing that wave of investment now. And, I probably get out of my depth, pretty quickly, but they're basically, kind of looking for ways to, capitalize different digital infrastructure in a way that makes sense. And I think that you're really seeing that take off with the data center space. That's really where a lot of that investment activity is. Whereas if you jump to something like submarine cables, the investment model is very different for that. There's a whole host of, we have so much time today, I could talk about that all day, but it is very different, and you talk to them about that, about how to address that, and there's other parts in between, local access to connect individual customers. All those things have different criteria and different investment models, that different risk tolerances, and that all has to be kind of factored in to get, and they're all essential in their own way. So that's what's really interesting for me. It's one thing to go after a slam dunk investment opportunity, but then the others are a little more tricky. Well, how do you get those done? And they get done in different ways. So those are, I guess, some of the ways, we see it going on the kind of the capital market side.
Right. And Chris, of course, as the CEO of Flexential, you guys are making a lot of strategic investments, particularly in data center expansions. What are your drivers?
Yeah, well, first of all, demand is unprecedented. So, the need to meet the exponential growth of our customers' application growth is critical. So, we're maniacally focused on bringing more capacity to bear across our platform in the U.S. And we really look at our data center portfolio as a platform of capabilities that our customers can leverage wherever and everywhere they need to. So, as I mentioned earlier, bringing new capacity to bear in strategic marketplaces, enabling those environments with scalable connectivity and virtualized resources, just because the elasticity requirements in the industry are incredibly dynamic today, and they're more hybrid than they've ever been before. So ultimately, we need to make our resources be as available, as flexible and as elastic as our customers are.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before too, of course, There is a demand, there is an approach, but is it the most efficient and sustainable approach, which I know you talk a lot about? And like I mentioned at the top of the show, Greener Data Exchange. Very excited to call ITW our home for the third year in a row. We are part of the Go Green educational track at ITW. And of course, all this to say, you are a contributing author to our Amazon bestseller, Greener Data Volume 2, just released on Earth Day. So when it comes to sustainability within the industry, what do you see, Chris, as being the biggest topics discussed amongst ITW attendees, and why?
Yeah, incredibly important topics. And as a father, seeing my teenage daughter navigate her way through, a world with unprecedented environmental challenges, it's really personal to me, as it should be for everybody. And so the ability to participate in the conversation and give our perspective based on our experiences is really important for us, and hopefully valuable to the audience. And so the biggest topics often revolve around energy efficiency, renewable energy integration, and the life cycle management of IT assets. And as I mentioned, these discussions are crucial as they address not only how we minimize impact today, but how we set standards for future sustainability. And so, we're focused on incorporating that into our designs with an eye towards a sustainable future for us, but our small part in how we contribute to a sustainable world. So we all have the ability to shape the world around us, and so hopefully we're doing our part.
Well said. Well said. We certainly have an incredible legacy to leave our children, and greener planet should be absolutely top of mind. And Erik, we are. This is something I take very, very passionately. We are moving beyond greenwashing, and we are tackling sustainability. And it's not easy. It's hard. There's easier paths that don't get you there, but we are paving the road for the difficult task ahead. Longevity in sustainability, jurisdictions mandating it, power is expensive, difficult to come by in many places. Location happens. So Erik, what are you seeing in terms of the sustainability space?
Yeah, the phrase I want to use, which isn't quite right, is that we can address it the easy way or the hard way, And I think what I'm really trying to say is that we have to, and as you mentioned, it is being mandated just by policy folks. And so if you want to locate it, just to get very specific about it, you want to locate a data center somewhere, you have to comply with the regulations of that location, and a lot of those are. There's policies in place that are, just to summarize, that are green type policies, but also just the practicalities of sourcing power, which you also mentioned. I mean, that's a reality sort of aside from the green part of it, but that it's the same. I mean, just the availability, the cost, its provenance. I mean, that all is really important, and there's tremendous need for, as we were discussing earlier. So. Yeah, those are all critical factors, and it's not something you're doing because you're right to be passionate about it, but that's not just the reason to do it. You do it because it's necessary, And I just a quick note on the elasticity part. I mean, that Chris was talking about. We kind of mentioned at the top of the show as well that you want to kind of. The vision is to have the services where and when the customers need them, and putting the infrastructure in place to make that happen. I mean, our research is moving that direction as well, to cover network as a service. I mean, that's kind of the phrase that we're using to cover that generally. It'll mean a little different things to different people. And you look at all the different criteria that you have to build digital infrastructure, particularly a data center, but you can think of this really with any type of digital infrastructure. There's a long list of criteria. It's not just, source of power, connectivity and favorable business environment. And it gets pretty long, especially when you get into all the nuances. And we're trying to put together an entire index that has all those things and all of those factors put together to kind of assess, different places. I mean, some places you just need to be there, and some are just tougher to serve than others. But if you want to get there, that's what I like about ITW. You have a lot of emerging markets represented, and they're emerging for a reason. The opportunity's there, but it might be tough to get there. But you have to assess all those things, and we're working through some of those things. So I just kind of wanted to come back to that point before we wrapped up.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely. Well said, Erik. And before we wrap up, Chris, I did want to note, I heard, a little bird told me, that Flexential is going to be having a really special event Wednesday afternoon, May 15th. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and really everyone is invited. So we throw a welcome party. It's on the flight deck, so the flight deck with the Flexential, and we think it's really a great way for the event to take off, if you will. So it's the flight deck is under the Capital wheel or the Keros wheel there, and we're excited to host the first party of the week. Our sponsors are Belden, Inno4, and Bandwidth IG. So it's on Wednesday, May 15th, 6 to 8. On the flight deck. So look forward to hopefully seeing all of you there.
And all those logos are amazing. Like great partners, great sponsors. Looking forward to it. Absolutely. And I think you can go ahead and register on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. So look forward to seeing everybody there.
We will be there with bells on. Chris and Erik, we really appreciate you sharing your insights with those attending this conference. ITW is a very special place, and you guys just enriched it further. Now, let's go ahead and finish out this briefing with some insider tips for making the most of our time at ITW. Hey everybody, I'm joined by none other than the fabulous Rachael Lupton, Head of Sales for ITW, and she's going to go ahead and share some tips on how attendees can make the most of this year's ITW. Welcome, Rachael.
Hi, Jaymie. Lovely to be here. Although I'm suddenly very aware that my background is nowhere near as exciting as Erik's with that fish tank that he had.
No, he's awesome, and that fish tank just steals the show. It really does. All right, so tell us. I know, first of all, thank you so much for being here. It's now down to hours as we're leading up to again, one of our industry's largest, most well-attended, most incredibly important events of the year. And you as the woman behind ITW and its success for so many years, thank you for being here. And what do you think attendees are going to be most excited to learn about during this year from an educational standpoint? There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks so much for having me. We're going into year 17, I think it is now, of ITW. And as you say, down to the last few hours or so. So lots still to do, but we're really looking forward to it. And there's a really jam-packed agenda this year for all of our attendees. I think we have over 40 sessions and 3 stages this year. So I will do my best to pick a couple of highlights for you. We, of course, have the conversation around the ongoing transformation of networks, taking sort of center stage with the Future Networks Summit. And that's covering everything from telco cloud and network as a service model to process automation, network security. And another exciting summit this year is the SATCOM Summit, looking at all things satellite, of course, from commercial models and multi-orbit versus single orbit to space-based 5G and sustainability practice, which is obviously top of mind from the conversation you were just having. We also have AI on the agenda, which of course promises to be transformative for the industry. And there are a number of sessions, including the ITW keynote chat show, which will explore that topic, looking at opportunities and challenges that AI presents for the operators of our networks, and then all the way through to sort of data center design. And then one that I'm particularly excited about, we have our Empowered Morning, where we're looking at how businesses are cultivating diversity and adopting unified approaches to supporting women in the industry. And as part of that morning, the GLF is presenting the 5th annual Diversity, Inclusion and Belonging Report, which this year has global gender benchmarking data. I think we have deep dives on neurodiversity, the risk of AI widening the inclusion gap, and an update on sort of upskilling and reskilling needs as a tool for inclusion. So lots and lots to choose from, many that I've not mentioned, but a really exciting lineup on the stages this year.
And I love how they're also intertwined, transformation of networks, SATCOM, of course, AI, diversity, inclusivity, like this, they're all so incredibly important, and yet they can weave in together and make the future brighter. So great topics, especially with such a diverse ecosystem. You can. I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. I don't know. I have like ITW is a huge, wonderful menu, and I don't know where to go first. And we should also say, so these are the new educational items on the menu. But what is new to the event? Like you said, 17 years. Is there anything new and different this year that maybe we should be keen on watching?
Yeah, a few things. I mean, probably important to note the event pattern has changed this year, which hopefully everyone knows by now. But the ITW agenda officially starts on Wednesday, the 15th of May. But on Tuesday, the 14th, alongside the already established welcome reception, where we hope to welcome many of our attendees, we will also have an arrivals lounge available. So during the day, if anyone wants to kind of kickstart their meetings and networking early, we'll have a space for them to be able to go before the exhibition opens, before meeting rooms are starting to be used. So definitely keep an eye out for signs for that, and ask our team if anyone needs any help locating it. Something we're looking forward to that's new and we hope will benefit our attendees is the new layout of the exhibition floor. So still with all the components that people know and love, including 2 of our stages, networking lounge, coffee stations, happy hours, and everything else in between. We have a new layout that has opened up the space to allow for our attendees to find their way a little bit more easily, and of course showcase all the incredible companies that are exhibiting this year. And finally, I'm really excited that in 2024 ITW is also going to be co-located with the launch of Women in Tech DC. So taking place the 15th and 16th of May in the Potomac Ballroom. Women in Tech DC is going to bring together over sort of 500 women and underrepresented technologists for 2 days of networking, panel sessions, keynote presentations, and some pretty cool sort of practical workshops. So we have an amazing lineup of speakers there put together. And ITW attendees are able to upgrade their pass and take advantage of that being on site in the same venue. So we'd love to see as many of our ITW audience there as well.
Yeah, I actually caught your podcast with that you hosted with Women in Tech. We're going to link to that right there too in our description, because I thought that was incredible and another great resource as we're preparing for ITW. Great stuff there. All right, so that's new and things to keep our eyes out on. But what about great items on the agenda that are returning? Oh wait, let me just add in. I am particularly excited. I don't know if you've mentioned, if I've said this before, but our Greener Data event, obviously, ITW is our amazing home for the 3rd year in a row. But this one's very exciting because we're launching, of course, our Volume 2 book, which was just released April 22nd on Earth Day. And a Greener Data event on site at ITW. It will be the first time we get to have an actual in-person launch event. So we're really excited. Thursday, May 16th, we have a panel discussion with the cocktail reception to follow. And we are just really keen on this must-attend event for networking with other sustainability-minded companies like Flexential, one of our authors, and others. So, are you stopping by for our signature Greener Martini, my friend?
But of course, yeah, it was a great event last year. So I'm personally looking forward to that one, and we're delighted that you've obviously chosen ITW as the location to launch Volume 2 of Greener Data sort of to the wider industry. And of course, for anyone else that's looking to join, that session is on Thursday at 4:10 on the transformation stage. So we're in the exhibition hall on the main stage there, and then followed, of course, by your cocktail reception on the Orchard Terrace, which is just outside of the exhibition hall. So if anyone can't find their way, ask one of the team. We have plenty of ambassadors on site again this year as well who can help. So hope to see lots of people there to celebrate.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous space. Of course, what an honor to be housed within ITW again. Such an incredible event for our industry. So we're really excited about that. Another great returning event to mention, also Thursday, May 16th, but just a little bit earlier. You can probably give us more details there. But we have a fun 5K run that raises money for one of our mutually favorite charities, Telecom Sans Frontières, TSF. I'm probably butchering my French, forgive me. But TSF, they provide incredible service. They run in where others are running out. They provide emergency telecom networks to really devastated or in need locations around the world. And of course, we should mention Console Connect as a returning sponsor, primary supporter of this incredible 5K charity run. Tell us a little bit more, Rachael. How can we further support them?
Yeah, so the TSF run, is a mainstay of ITW now, and one that we're able to deliver with the support of Console Connect, as you mentioned. Great way to start day two, blow out the cobwebs from all that networking that happened the night before. I have a sort of a personal history that goes back over a decade with TSF, but ITW and sort of Capacity Media has actually been a partner of theirs for a little over 11 years now. So we're delighted to be able to host fundraising events such as the run across all of our events to support their efforts around the world. As you say, they run in when other people are sort of leaving. So an amazing charity support. And anyone wanting to join, quite rightly said, it's on Thursday, the 16th of May as well. A little earlier at 6:45 a.m., but it is worth it, I promise, for the early start. And people can still sign up. So you can head to the website, sign up there. You can join us even once on site. We'll have information around the venue. And for those that can't join us in person this year or don't maybe want to make the early start, we'll also be encouraging our colleagues to participate by running their own 5K, tagging us on social. So watch out for some updates on that campaign coming soon.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. So as we're preparing to pack maybe some of our running items, if we're going to participate in that 5K, or some of our cocktail dresses or pants, as we start packing up for ITW and also downloading our boarding tickets, we're getting ready. This is it. What can we do now to ensure that the best networking experience during the conference will happen in just a few days, weeks left? Are there any meeting apps you can keep in mind? What's your best suggestions here?
Yeah, so I guess a few top tips. Absolute kind of number one is plan your schedule ahead of time as much as you can, whether it's your meetings or the various sessions that you're planning on attending. Knowing where you need to be and how to get there will definitely save you time once you're on site. To help with that, we obviously have our group of ambassadors who are ready to assist. We have the printed company locations letting you know where everyone in the venue is located. And the venue actually has their own app as well that you can download and help sort of navigate the venue. So for any first timers, that's maybe a good tool to have as well. Second tip, you mentioned an app. We have SwapCard as our networking app for the event. So ahead of arriving on site, definitely worth downloading that, using it to book meetings, connect with other attendees. If you can believe it, I think last year we had over 99,000 messages exchanged and over 26,000 connections made through the app. So definitely a great tool for connecting with other attendees and sort of scheduling your personal agenda for the event. So highly recommend that. And finally, join the social events. They're woven into the kind of network of ITW. They're a great way to meet everyone and anyone in a relaxed atmosphere. Take some time to unwind at the end of a day that I'm sure will be filled with meetings. And I'd ask everyone, please, to tag us across social media. Use hashtag ITW 2024 and hashtag keeping the world connected as our mandate, because we love to see what our attendees are up to and see everyone enjoying the event.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you guys do it so well. I'm so in awe of you. Really, you rock it every year, and such a worthwhile event. It's really quite the service for our entire industry. Thank you so much, Rachael.
You are most welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and to TeleGeography's Erik Kreifeldt and Flexential's Chris Downie, thank you for giving us such great insight on the latest trends. And again, as Ms. Rachael reminded us, to get all the details to prepare for ITW, go ahead and check out International Telecoms Week.com. And during that conference, go ahead and use hashtag ITW 2024. And I believe keeping the world connected. So a great way to keep those stories moving forward and keeping us all educated while on site. All right, we've got a QR code right here on the screen over my shoulder to make sure you go ahead and get registered for ITW if you're not already, as well as a QR code down below to RSVP for that great Greener Data Exchange cocktail reception at ITW Thursday, May 16th. Tune in the week of ITW, guys. JSA is broadcasting live from the expo floor as proud media sponsors of ITW. We will be doing interviews with top thought leaders like Chris and Erik. In the meantime, follow both JSA and TeleGeography on LinkedIn, or find out more about us on jsa.net and telegeography.com. Thank you all for tuning in to Know Before You Go. And as always, happy networking.